ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody in between. Welcome to another episode of the Chaps Chat Cats. My name's Jake, and I'm joined by the one and only Mr. Johnny Larkin. How are you, Johnny?
Pretty good, pretty good. Looking forward to this podcast. Looking forward to the weekend, and it's also Eurovision weekend. Exciting weekend
Gotta
coming up
love it.
for the Cats fans out there and Eurovision fans out there. Going to dress up,
I
go
was
watch it as a
trying to
group. It's going to be good fun.
decide whether or not we should do Chaps Eurovision recap for the Patreon subscribers or something. Maybe hit us up in the comments if you
Might
think we
have
should
to.
do a Chaps Eurovision recap. Yeah. Should have mentioned off the top too, we are obviously a part of the Hoops Crew Media Network. You can see that if you're watching on YouTube. You can see it on the podcast app too, because it'll say the Hoops Crew. On the show tonight, we've got the Cats v Power round 9 preview. We're going to dive into all of that action. And then after the public show ends in about 20-ish minutes time, we are going to dive over and deliver our Patreon match predictions for our Patreon subscribers. So if you want to get in on that, make sure you sign up to the Hoops Crew Patreon channel. Start your 7-day free trial today. You get early access to behind the play interviews, episodes like Paul James, stuff with behind the play. You get extended previews and recaps from us. You get VFL coverage that's exclusively for the Patreon subscribers, as well as things like Wednesday News Wrap with myself and Ben. So you can start your free trial today. Johnny, we should get into it. The public part of the show. And when we talk about the public part of the show, we have to say a big, old Chaps Chat Cats thank you to our network sponsor, the nectar of the gods, Valhalla Brewing. If you're in North Geelong, make sure you go and check out the tap room. If you're in the CBD, get along. Sorry, it's the other way around. North Geelong is the brew hall. CBD is the tap room. I'm thinking about trying to sneak in maybe this weekend or this Friday night for a little sneaky brew or two at Valhalla Brewing. We thank them for being the Hoops Crew Media Network sponsor. Let's get into it, John. We've got a lot to break down. The Cats, they're seeking a 10th consecutive win at home against Port Adelaide. The last time that the Cats were defeated by Port Adelaide, can you guess, John? Do you know when it was at home?
The last time Port Adelaide beat us at our home game
At KP.
At KP, I'm going to say 2007, the last game before the finals, to give them a slight hope that they thought they had any chance of winning that year's grand final.
Yep, that's the one. Dom
Beautiful.
Cassisi with only seconds on the clock, kicking a goal after Gaz Jr. It seems to get lost in the shuffle how far Geelong were down in that game, only to storm back. Gary Ablett with one of the goals of his career to hit the front, only for the Power to rob us at the end. But ultimately, it did not foreshadow what would go down a month or so later at the MCG, 119-point victory of the Qatars. But let's talk about this year, Johnny. Now, obviously, the last time we played Port, we beat them down at Cardinia Park. I think it was 97-82 our way. A fairly gritty, undermanned kind of win from my memory last season in a year that sort of got away from us. But how are you feeling about 2024 going in at home playing the Power in round 9?
Pretty good. Pretty confident, pretty at ease. Sort of what I felt like last week. But I think with Port's injuries coming down to KP, it's an unfair advantage to the Cats, just like Adelaide Oval's unfair advantage to Port Adelaide. I'm really looking forward to this game. I think the Cats will come out firing after last week. They wouldn't want to really prove to anyone they can play a certain way, but it's just, coming out and rectifying last week's loss. Just going, "That was just a bad game.
Mm.
We didn't play that well. Yeah, we lost. No one made us play a certain way." I think the Cats kinda came out pretty strong this week and forced Port Adelaide to play the Cats' way, which no, I'm not sure how Port plays. I haven't really watched much of their game, but I feel like they're very sort of reliant on a few players.
Mm.
I think if Cats can take a few players out, then we'll go a long way to beating them. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Be interesting to see how the home crowd receives Radaglia. That is a Port player. I'm not expecting much animosity towards him. I think if he makes some mistakes, there'll be a bit of a cheers and all that, but I'm not expecting mass amounts of booze or anything like that towards
Mm.
Radically. As I might be wrong, but I wouldn't really. Yeah, I feel good, feel confident, looking forward to it, and I think we'll come out pretty strong and end up having a pretty good victory.
Yeah, I'm feeling good, just by virtue of it being, you know, down at Kardinia Park. I mean, that's always a nice spot to be, as you'll hear any, Richmond or Collingwood fan complain about. It's the most unfair home advantage in the competition. Never mind that they never really have to travel there when they're up and about. But yeah, so that feels good. I'm excited about going down uh, to this game. It's another team that's there or thereabouts in that top 8, potentially competing for a top 4 spot. We've had a couple of really close games against them. Um, and, I think the last game down at Kardinia Park was a seesawing sort of encounter. The one over in Adelaide Oval was less seesawing and more, it was close game, close game. Then they sort of blew us out in the third term. So
Mm.
I'm interested to see how this one goes down. Let's talk a little bit of team selection. I'm actually going to go to Port Adelaide first, Johnny, and just let you know the ins
All
and
right, all
outs
right.
um, here. So we've got Sin in Finlayson in Alia in Frank the Tank Evans, former Geelong player, in, and Vizentini also in. Out Connor Rozee, Burgoyne, Jones, Williams, and Sweet all out. It strikes me that there was some reporting during the week, I think, about Charlie Dixon possibly limping off from training, and I thought, oh, they might be without Dixon. Oh, maybe it'll be all on Finlayson down forward. Now they've got both. I thought maybe Alia might not play, and it might be all on Radaglia down back. He's back in, so obviously Rosie is a big out for them, but
Yeah,
I think Port will be going in feeling they're in a fairly strong position. Probably a little bit
yeah.
similar to the Cats, where we'd love to have a couple of players who are on our injury list in, but that's not the case. But now I'll handball to you, John, for your thoughts
All right.
on the Geelong lineup,
Bring it
because that's
on.
what we're really all here for. Um, I shall indeed bring it on. All right, so this is how we're rolling in here, Johnny.
Yeah,
We've got Mark O'Connor and Brandon Parfitt and O'Sheen Mullen returning to the side. Out,
beautiful.
Tanner Bruin through injury. Jack Bowes is managed. Zach Tui is managed. What are your thoughts initially on the lineup with the players I've just said who are in and out?
Makes sense that O'Connor,
Caught you at
Parfitt
a
are
bad
back.
time.
And it's good to see Oisin Mullen come back into the team. I'm assuming Mullen will be the sub. I don't know, I reckon they'll get Gary Rowan in there to play that sort of Tanner Bruin type role
Mm,
that is injured. And yeah, I think same as I said last week with O'Connor and Parfitt about them being out, with Jack Bowes and Zach Tui being out. It's just one of those things that I reckon they've got planned. They've got the plans and they're sticking by it. And I'll just go, yep, that makes sense. If it makes sense to them, then it makes sense to us. And I think it comes at a good time to give those two a rest. Jack Bowes has been playing really great footy. No reason why they need to drop him apart from just going, well, we'll give you a break, give you a rest, freshen up for the next couple of big games, especially going up to or is it Darwin and then all the way back to
Mm,
KP for a couple of big games. So yeah, I think it's good management by the Cats. Yeah, really excited to see Parfitt and O'Connor come back in. I think these two will be a big ins for the Cats, especially the pressure and the lockdown role O'Connor can
mm,
bring, and then just Parfitt's manic, ceaseless tackling pressure that would
mm,
just put. They're pretty slick and quality moving players like Jason Horne-Francis, Zach Butters, Willem Drew. Apparently, he's playing a really outstanding year. So I think having those two in to really hopefully lock down and just pressure those guys will help the Cats a long way. Um, yeah, as I said, it's a shame that Bruin had to go out through injury. I think there was a slight hope that he might have been all right, but back in my mind, I thought he was going to be out. Cats don't take risks with injuries because otherwise you end up with a
mm,
Rosie situation where he could play.
mm.
I reckon there's like he could play, but what's the chances of him redoing an injury and us being a man down early in the game? It's not a risk worth taking so early in the season. Um, yeah. Apart from that, I think yeah, it's what it is. They've got a plan. They're sticking by it. Really excited to see Parfitt O'Connor back in. Excited to see Ocean Mullen back in. But I'm most excited to see Gary Rowan most
Mm.
likely get a full game under his belt and bring that extra bit of pressure and forward line pressure as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the forward line pressure is something we probably missed a little bit last week against Melbourne. We only had 2 tackles inside 50. We hit it on the recap
Mm,
pod, obviously, a few days ago, and Melbourne had 13 to our 2, and yeah, probably needed that Rowan influence earlier in the game. But it was tough. I'll admit it's tough to work out who you take out of
mm,
that side,
definitely.
particularly up forward. Like I know everyone says Hawkins, 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 but then you know May goes on to Ollie Henry or Cameron or someone, and so then they've got a problem. So Hawkins does do that valuable role, and I think it is a valuable role. I thought about it across the week,
Yeah.
whether he's kicking goals or not. Taking that team's best defender. Um, but no, I like the changes. I think I'm a bit disappointed that um, our good mate Owen, who's coming along to his first ever AFL men's game. Not normally a massive footy fan, but he's glimpsed Zach Tui at times when we've been watching games and gone, "Who's that dude?" Because he loves the mustache. A bit disappointing that Zach Tui won't be in the side,
Yeah.
but
It's a
um,
shame for Mate Owen.
I like, yeah, I like the changes. I think Brandon Parfitt comes in and is the next best sort of inside clearance winning midfielder in our team at the moment who's healthy behind Tanner Bruin because Parfitt, I think, averages the second most clearances on the team. He averages the
Yeah.
second most tackles, either the most or the second most tackles on the side. So I think he's going to have a great ability, hopefully, to fill Tanner Bruin's shoes in this situation. It's nice when we get both of them. And the other two I like. O'Connor, sort of a bit of a flexible player, can drift around a bit and also perform, valuable lockdown roles if you need him. And then Mullen, I'll just read you some numbers here, Johnny. I've been watching him obviously in the VFL. He's played 3 games down there in the VFL this season. He's accounted in those 3 games for 33.5% of his total career disposals. So a third of his career disposals have come in his 3 games this season. And 55.2% of his career marks have come in his last 3 games. Uh, He's also
Right.
kicked his first goal. He's gone
Oh,
from averaging 7.8 kicks per game to 13.3 this season, which means 67% of his disposals in 2024 have been by foot compared to 53% last year. And that just confirms in a numbers sense to me what I've been seeing with my eyes. And that is he knows what positions to take to get those marks, whether that's intercepting, and he took one really great contested intercepting mark last week against Frankston. But he also gets involved in chains of uncontested possession where he's presenting as an option, marking, and then able to move the ball on. So I've liked that, his positioning and understanding of the flow of the game. And that's represented in him getting more of his hands literally on the footy with those marks. But then he's also super confident kicking the footy now. Last year, it was a little bit more
Beautiful.
50-50. As I said, 53% of his disposals were kicks, which means it was pretty much 50-50 between kick and handball. This year, it's 2/3 of his disposals by foot. So he's just feeling more comfortable kicking the Sharon around. And as I said, those numbers match up with what my eyeballs have told me, whether it's on his left, on his right, short kicks, long kicks. He's just looking that much more comfortable out there. And I think he's going to be a dynamic player for the Cats for many years to come. That leads us, Johnny, into the section of the show that we call What We Want to See. Now, we might be
Yes.
able to get a sneaky couple off each year, and I'll take the lead here. And I'm going to open just tagging on to the player we were just talking about. I want to see Oisin Mullen replicate what he's been doing at VFL level up at the AFL level, because I think that'll give people an opportunity to see his development and the value he's going to represent in our team long term. They'll understand if he plays the sort of game that he has been playing down in the twos, up for the ones, people are going to understand why the Cats have already extended Oisin Mullen's contract. He's an
Yeah.
extremely strong, explosive athlete, and it's just been a matter of building his understanding of the game of footy, where to position. He's far more physical this year than in seasons than last season. I think he understands a bit better how to tackle, how to crash into contests, and that sort of thing.
Definitely
But
seen that.
just little things like a couple of weeks ago, you know, a player that they're trying to switch the ball across half back. His teammate kicks it behind him, and Oisin Mullen has to track the ball back inside defensive 50. A player comes to him to pressure him. He sidesteps them, runs off through the arc of 50, has a bounce, and distributes the ball up the field. Like, you just wouldn't have seen him look as comfortable and casual doing that sort of stuff, like running and bouncing the footy and that. And like, it's just those little parts of the game that once you learn those, he can unleash all those extra abilities that he has. He's a magnificent kick. He had a direct goal assist. I believe it was him to Oscar Riccardi. Just a long kick over to the open man who had streaked ahead of the defense. And it was just pinpoint accuracy. He's in cracking form, Oisin Mullen, and I want to see him bring that VFL play that he's been offering into the AFL. What about you, Johnny? What do you want to see?
Oh, sorry. Pardon me. I want to see the team absolutely feed Hawkins in his 355th game and get him a bag full of goals this week. Um, yeah, just get that. I won't say confidence, just to get that goal kicking confidence back in his game. I think he's full of confidence and full of you know all the good stuff that you need to play the game. I just like to see him kick a bag, and I think this game at home, um, drawing level with Joel Selden, 355 games. I think this will be a good game for him to kick a nice bag, and I like to see the teammates get it to him and get around him and really try and funnel the ball towards him. And even if that doesn't happen, if Port Adelaide think that's going to happen and they're going to like surround him with players, then that's perfectly fine because we'll get Jeremy Cameron or one of our small forwards to kick the goals. But I would definitely like to see
Mm,
Hawkins kick a nice bag of goals and just shut up a bit of the criticism going around about his game plan, game style.
mm. I agree. I love that. Um, I've got a quick one. I think I'm happy with my Cats one. Um, yeah, I think I am happy. I've got some more stuff I'll talk about in the Patreon part of the show, but I've got another one, just a broader footy one. Um, and it's in the Ovens and Murray Football League. I would like to
Ooh.
see Corowa Rutherglen Kangaroos get their first win of the season against Myrtleford when they travel up to Myrtleford. Now, I know Myrtleford haven't had a win either, so I'm sorry, but Corowa Rutherglen had to sit out the entirety of last year. There was uncertainty about whether they would ever even get to take the field again. They came back this year. They've dug in and played tough against some really good opponents. And I would just like to see the Kangaroos of Corowa Rutherglen rack up their first senior football win. The netball team has been absolutely, I think it's the A grade netball, absolutely been ripping it up in their league. So I would love for the senior men's footy team to come through with 4 points. I'm sorry, Myrtleford fans, but yeah. All right. Do you have any other what you want to see, Johnny, before we get out of here? Do you have another Cats related one?
Ooh. I just want to see Oshie Mullen
You
have a good
dig deep
game.
into your bag of tricks. Yeah. All
Similar
right. So
to
you're echoing my sentiments.
sentiments about Oshie Mullen. Come off to sub half time and just play like he's a little Jack Russell and tearing people apart, chasing them like rabbits, and then
Mm,
kick a goal. I'd like to see him kick a goal. That would be great.
love it. Love it. Love it. All right. That's all we've got time for on this episode
21
of
minutes.
the Chaps Chat Cats, the preview show, Cats v the Power. Hoping we get a cracking game. That's a cracking game that we win, by the way.
Yes.
But yes, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Whatever methodology you're using, we would next be going into the Patreon match predictions. So if you want to see that part of the show, if you want to listen to that part of the show, make sure you hit up a Hoops Crew Patreon membership, 7-day free trials available now and forever. So go on over and sign up to that. You get early access to the interview shows that Paul does on Behind the Play. You get extended versions of our previews and recaps. You also get Wednesday news wraps and exclusive VFL men's and women's coverage for Patreon subscribers only. Thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate you watching massively. And until next time, you guys know what to do. Go Cats!
Go, Cats!